Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today's August 8th, and congratulations if you found this video here today. Doing it on one of the backup channels, I have lost total access to the Pacific Northwest Weather Watch page. There's a standard waiting period of about 7 days, so I may have to wait for this to expire before I can post there again. So I'll post this on X and Blue Sky. Hopefully you guys find it. And yeah, let's dive into things here. So taking a look here at the infrared satellite imagery, we got the storm system that we just went through that brought the frontal system, some thunderstorms yesterday for eastern Washington, British Columbia. It's now pushing off across Montana, and out here across Pacific Ocean, we are going to do some ridge building. We're going to warm things up as we go through this weekend and on into the early portion of next week before we start to cool things down. Yet again, some big model disagreement, flipping and flopping back and forth on what is going to happen next week. So let's take a look at that and start diving into things. Here we go this morning. Actually pretty sunny across a lot of western Washington and western Oregon. There is some lower cloud activity there, but the Washington coast and Oregon coast are pretty clear. Once you get up towards Vancouver Island, you're dealing with a bit more cloud activity. Nice and clear across eastern Washington, eastern Oregon so far this morning as well. So if we scroll back through yesterday, you see the spin in the atmosphere there. As we scroll through Thursday, you can see the thunderstorm activity popping off across some of the area. In fact, let me overlay that with the lightning strikes. And you can see that activity there across portions of eastern Washington, some robust thunderstorm activity. And then it died quite quickly as it approached Moses Lake and towards Ritzville. And it doesn't look like much of that hit Spokane, but we did get that thunderstorm activity. It moved across Idaho and then towards western Montana. And there we go through the overnight hours. And here we are emerging back towards this morning. So again, there's the lightning strike activity that was going on the last 24 hours right there northeast Oregon, and highlighted there across eastern Washington. So now this is where we are at as of last night. This is the European Artificial Intelligence, and you can see the ridge building off our coastline here. There's that low pressure center swinging through the Intermountain West, kicking off through Montana. Look at that ridge get established as we go through Saturday, Sunday. We're now into early Monday morning as this ridge is very strong, but it's not quite close enough to bring record temperatures here to the Pacific Northwest. It will warm us up, but on the flip side of that, that ridge is going to be starting to retreat off to the west, and the next trough will be swinging through as we go probably towards the mid portion of next week. So we'll get that onshore flow. We'll kick on the air conditioning, Mother Nature's air conditioning here across much of the region. And then who knows what's going to happen after that. We're not even going to guess too much, but I'll just kind of show you that it keeps them troughing around through the 10-day forecast. But again, the flipping and flopping that models have been doing, I don't want to get anybody too caught up in that activity just yet. So taking a look at composite reflectivity over the next 48 hours, this is what the Doppler radar may look like. And you can clearly see we're not expecting much for BC, Washington, or Oregon. You're dealing with that thunderstorm activity across portions of Montana, but that is pushing off to the east as we go on in through this weekend. And we're really going to dry things out here as we go through this weekend and through the early portion of next week. So let's take a wider look at things here. Artificial intelligence versus itself. I kind of want to show you just how much the models have been flipping and flopping here. So there goes the ridge. We had that pretty nailed down as we go through the weekend. Now we're going off, excuse me, Monday morning here, and you can see that ridge on this latest run as of last night versus what was happening 24 hours ago when I was showing yesterday's video. But you can see the ridge starting to flatten out early, a little bit earlier, and the trough really gets established as we went through the Tuesday time period. The model backed off on that a little bit, so probably Tuesday another warm day, but then we get the cool down as we go through Wednesday. So you can kind of see how big the models flipped and flopped just in a 24-hour period. Then if I back that up one more time, you can kind of see that system where we are now, and then we swing through. There's the ridge, and then you can see this trough again. Big model flips back and forth, not that far out in the forecast, so not lending much confidence in what is going to happen just quite yet. So as we look at the temperatures about 5,000 feet, you can really see us ramp up these temperatures as we go through, again, this weekend through the early portion of next week. Then we cool things down dramatically as we go through next week and maybe keep things nice and comfortable for the mossbacks here across the Pacific Northwest. I mean, look at this cool air just hanging out as we go through the 2-week period there. And we'll see if that's going to happen. We'll be revisiting that daily. And I stopped this one here because look at the difference between the 24-hour temperatures. This was be from Tuesday to Wednesday. Look at the drop for Seattle, for example. Some areas approaching 20 degrees cooler on Wednesday versus Tuesday. So probably the last warm day Tuesday, especially west of the Cascades and across a lot of the area, and then really dropping off and bottoming out those temperatures as we go through the day on Wednesday. And they kick that onshore flow in Mother Nature's air conditioning. So Now we're going to look at the ensembles here really quickly, and you'll see that ridge again building as we go through this weekend, but quickly it retreats back off to the west and then allows for that troughing. So we have a pretty good idea that we will be cooling back down as we go through the midweek period. I'm just not sure quite on how dramatically that cool down will be, but it is likely coming. Now, the probability of a certain height in the atmosphere, well, you'll see we still have that ridge. The models did pretty good with it, but again, it retreats quite quickly here as we go on in towards the mid portion of next week. And here's some of the temperatures. So here's Hokley. I'm out on the Washington coast, and again, it does bring it back a pretty warm day for the coast there on Monday, the 11th, but then we cool down dramatically on Tuesday. We start to get some of that onshore flow. One more warm day for the interior, though, on Tuesday for many locations like Seattle. Look at that, probably the warmest day. The European has 92. That is a very hot day for Seattle, and you can see the gradual ramp up in those temperatures as we go through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then Mother Nature's air conditioning kicks back on. Here's Portland, something similar, probably Tuesday being the warmest day, and then the big drop comes on Wednesday. Here's Eugene, same thing as well, maybe a 100-degree day there on Monday. Spokane, you can kind of see the warm up and the gradual cool down as we go on into the mid portion of next week. So let's take a look at the national blend of models. This is Friday, August 8th. That is today. There's Seattle 76. You can see the Willamette Valley. They're in the mid 80s. We go to Saturday, Sunday, Monday. There's the gradual warm up. Look at the Willamette Valley starting to show some temperatures 100, maybe into the low 100s. Look at Medford 108, some hundreds returning to eastern Washington. A very warm day here across the region as we go towards Monday. And you can see Vancouver, once you get BC, once you get away from the water there, look at that, some 90-degree readings showing up. Seattle is going to be very close there in the upper 80s as well. Looks like 90 for Tacoma, maybe 92 for Olympia, maybe some mid 90s as you go down towards southwest Washington and interior areas. We go through Tuesday. Again, a very warm day here across the region, but starting that cool down Tuesday on the coastline there. And then you can see Wednesday, we start to cool things down dramatically and get back down towards normal, or maybe even a little bit below normal. Again, we'll worry about that in upcoming days. Now, look at the extended forecast. This goes out 46 days. So you can kind of see our warm up here as we go through the early portion of next week. And we still could have the potential to get warm as we go through the remainder of August and maybe even September. You can still get heat waves in September in the Pacific Northwest. But look at the gradual cool down there as we go towards the end of September. Once you get to the end of September, you're really done with the big 90 plus degree days as a general rule. And then by the time you get towards October, you know, we can dramatically cool things down. But you see the overall gradual trend as we go towards September 21st, the very end of this graph here. So yeah, fall is on the horizon here, folks. And I know the Mossbacks will love to hear that. And look at this. As we go through the end of August and on in through the September period, of course, the rainfall starts to return as well. So yeah, kind of a fun look at the extended forecast there. And the new drought monitor is out. The changes I saw, it looks like we had some drought improvement across some of western Montana. We went from extreme to severe drought. And some portions of southwest Oregon got a little bit more of the severe drought reintroduced there. And we brought a little bit of relief there. We removed some of the severe drought for a small sliver there of eastern Oregon there. But yeah, much of Washington state was not changed in this latest update that was as of yesterday, Thursday. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys found this video here. I'll continue to try to work with Google and YouTube. They've been responding via email at times, and they've tried to been helpful, but they had me try to sign out of everything and clear all my cache and cookies and re-sign back in, and then I lost access to the account totally. So yeah, now I'm just kind of waiting for that, and it looks like there's a 7-day waiting period that I have to go through now. Hopefully that is not the case. I've emailed them back this morning. We'll see if they respond, but otherwise I'll probably have to figure out something else out. I've even developed a new Pacific Northwest weather channel here on YouTube. I'm not going to use it unless for some reason, I completely lose the other channel. And if we do, then we'll just have to rebuild from scratch and go from there and try to redevelop the whole thing on a different YouTube channel. But anyway, hope this video finds you guys here today. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I'll try to make it apparent on X. I don't even have access to the Patreon page as well. So it's either on Blue Sky or X or on one of my other YouTube channels here. So I'll post that out there. And otherwise, I will talk to you guys tomorrow, hopefully.